Okay, so we are now down to the week 4 of theoretical foundations in nursing, and we will be discussing about the history of nursing science. So before we finally start discussing the theories, we have to understand um, the different or the history of nursing science. Okay, so we have here why science is important. Let me read before I discuss. Science is a method of describing, explaining, and predicting causes or outcomes of intervention. So, science is very important for us to understand why are these interventions are present, or why we need to do these interventions, and what are the possible outcomes of an intervention. It is a strong desire to gain insight into the unknown and determine the cause and effect and the meaningful impact an intervention can have on extending life expectancy. So in nursing, we could not go away from science because it is only our way of explaining a phenomena, of explaining something, an intervention, and its possible outcome. The history of nursing. We have here the rationalism. When we say rationalism, it refers to the knowledge based epistemological perspective that strongly emphasizes the reason and logic as a primary source of knowledge. So, when we do something in the nursing profession, we should be able to rationalize it, because in the absence of rationalization, we could not do an intervention. We could not be applying it to our patients because it may endanger the life of our patients. So again, it is when you say epistemology, it's knowledge, okay? That of course you have to be logical, you have to be reasonable in everything that you do for the nursing profession. Um, Most importantly, if you are doing it for your patients, it is a priority reasoning is critical because it is the right way to advance knowledge according to epistemology. So according to knowledge or epistemology, it's only through rationalism or rationalization or rationalist perspective that we could be critical in advancing our knowledge, okay, in nursing. And of course, it is a significant viewpoint in epistemology, while logic and reason are essential for comprehending the world. So, again, rationalism, logic, and reason are congruent to each other, that they are very important for us to comprehend the world. Not, Mom, why do we have to comprehend the world? Because if you are a nurse, if you're a nursing student, you should be able to understand everything around you for you to be able to intervene properly. In rationalism, we have what we call as priori. A reasoning uses deductive logic by reasoning from the cause and effect to an effect from the generation to a particular instance. When you say deductive reasoning from general to specific, okay? For example, you have met this phenomenon or this scenario, uh, you have to see to it, okay? What are the possible things that could happen after this phenomenon? And that's a priori, and that is deductive reasoning. We have the core belief, reason as a foundation of knowledge. Rationalists believe that true knowledge could be obtained through reason and logic, independent of sensory experience, and they argue that certain truths are self-evident and could be understood through a pure thought. So when you say reason as a foundation of knowledge, it should not be based on our sensory experience, okay? When we say it's independent of sensory experience, it should be free from perception, because reason are or reasoning is our only way of proving that what we do in the nursing profession is um, true. Okay, I'm sorry for that word. Okay, it's what we do in the nursing profession is true, valid, and of course it's reliable. Okay. Now next we have um innate knowledge as a core belief. Some rationalists believe that humans possess innate ideas or concepts that are present at birth, not acquired through experience, and these ideas form the foundation for logical reasoning. Um, Symbolic interactionism comes in here, wherein we believe that our past could possibly affect how we perceive things in the future, even if it's not gained through experience, because we as human, okay, we have these innate ideas or concepts that are embedded in us, maybe through again genetics, not only that, the environment that we grown up with, and of course the people that we lived with. okay? But it might not be through experience. So that is our innate knowledge. It is a knowledge that could possibly be inherited from um, our family or anybody else in our community. We have here deductive reasoning. As a rationalist, you have to emphasize deductive reasoning where general principles are used to draw specific conclusions. We have here, for example, I'm sorry, all men are mortal. Socrates is a man, therefore Socrates is mortal. So that's an example of deductive reasoning. So when you say all men are mortal, then Socrates is a man, therefore Socrates is mortal. When you say um, all men cheat, Clifford is a man, therefore Clifford is a cheater. So that is a deductive reasoning. That's an example of deductive reasoning. Okay, we have here the famous rationalist. We have Rene Descartes. Okay, he was considered as the father of modern philosophy. Descartes famously doubts everything except his own existence. So, um, this is a very good phrase to uh, deal with because he doubted everything. So he doesn't believe in what he see except his own existence. Okay, he believed in innate ideas and the power of deductive reasoning. Okay, this one, okay, actually this phrase could help us in the nursing profession, for us to be continually investigating everything that we do. Okay, everything that we do, the changes that happens in our patient, and of course, it is a must for us to be very careful in our perception with others because again, Descartes said that you should not be believing in anything except your existence. We have Baruch Spinoza. Okay, we have um, a Dutch philosopher who built upon Descartes' work. He believed in a single unified substance and that everything follows from the nature of the substance through reason. So, um, he believed in God. Okay, and everything from God could be following this substance through reason. So, because of God, we are able to rationalize everything that we see in this world, believing that there is God who created everything. Okay. We have here Leibniz, a German philosopher who agreed with the importance of reason but also acknowledged the role of existence. He argued for innate mental dispositions rather than fully formed innate ideas. So we have, he is trying to tell us that there are also mental dispositions other than from that innate ideas that we believe in. Empiricism. Okay, so we're done with rationalism. We have empiricism. This is the view that is based on the cultural idea that scientific knowledge could be derived from any sensory experience, seeing, feeling, and hearing facts. Actually, from the empiricist perspective, empirics or empiricism is basically knowledge. Okay, we get this knowledge from everything that we see, that we hear, that we feel, that we have read. Okay, so this could be gained also from experiences. Empiricism stands in contrast to rationalism and emphasizes sensory experience as the primary source of knowledge. For rationalism, okay, it's not the sensory experience that is the source of knowledge, but the innate ideas. But for empiricism, it's the sensory experience that gives us this knowledge, and it considers that this sensory experience is the primary source of knowledge. So they believe in they have different predispositions or beliefs, or they forward different meanings when it regards to this. Again, for rationalist perspective, it should be the innate ideas and not a sensory experience as the source of knowledge. But for empiricists, it's the reverse of that. Okay? We have here the core beliefs of empiricism, knowledge through experience. So the empiricists believe that all knowledge is ultimately derived from sensory experiences such as sight, touch, taste, smell, and hearing, and we learn about the world by interacting with it and observing the data our senses provide. So in an empiricist perspective, like empirical knowing, okay, it is the source of knowledge. Everything that we experience in this world could be the source of our knowledge. Everything that we see, everything that we feel, everything that we have read. Okay. What else? The tabula rasa. Some empiricists like John Locke likened the human mind at birth to a blank slate, okay, upon which experiences are inscribed. Knowledge is not innate but acquired through sensory impression. So tabula rasa, um, meaning that they believe that the mind of a person upon birth is blank, and everything that is put into could be a part of the experience. Like for example, when the baby have seen his parents, okay, that's the first experience, and that first experience will be now inscribed in the mind of that person. And for the empiricist perspective, that is tabula rasa. So they believe that our mind was empty and we had knowledge as we experienced things in this world from birth. Okay. Inductive reasoning. So empiricists emphasize inductive reasoning, where specific observations are used to draw general conclusions. This is like forming a hypothesis based on repeated observations. While on the other hand, the rationalist perspective believes in deductive reasoning. For the empiricists, they believe in inductive reasoning, that everything you see should be the reason or should be the basis of drawing conclusions. Okay, your observations, your assumptions, your hypothesis. Hypotheses are educated, guess assumptions are your belief of what will happen in the future, and that is in the inductive reasoning. Famous empiricists, we have John Locke, a key figure in British empiricism. Locke believed that all ideas come from sensory experience. He distinguished between primary qualities which objectively exist in the world, like, for example, shape, and secondary qualities, which are subjective experiences of those qualities, for example, color. So both objective and subjective experiences, according to John Locke, could contribute to the knowledge that we have in empirical knowing, and of course, being an empiricist. Another one, we have David Hume, a Scottish philosopher who built upon Locke's work. He questioned the existence of innate ideas and argued that even our belief in the cause and effect comes from repeated observations, not a necessary truth. So he believes that we should be using again science as right, or science, the science of nursing is knowledge, of course, and that everything that we see from our repeated observations could be a contributor, could be contributing to our inductive reasoning, and that's the way of how we do the inductive reasoning. We have here Berkeley, an Irish philosopher who took empiricism further, arguing that the only things we can truly know are our perceptions or our own perceptions. The external world, he argued, might exist only in the mind of the perceiver. So again, we should not be questioning the perception of other people, because what is true to us are our own perceptions, are our own perceptions. That is our reality, and the reality of other people should not be questioned, because again, what you see in the external world only exists, okay, in the mind of the perceiver. So what is true to other people may not be true to you, and that is not even a point of comparison, or that should not be a point of um, discussion, because we have our own perceptions. Okay, in the early 20th century views of science, okay, we have here, okay, science and theory. We have, during the first half of the 20th century, philosophers focus on the analysis of theory structure, where scientists focus on empirical research. So the philosophers try to make theories that could explain phenomena or everything that happens, while the scientists, okay, are after empirical research, and they're trying to observe and experiment repeatedly for us to draw conclusions. There was a minimal interest in the history of science, the nature of scientific discovery, or the similarities between philosophical view and the science and the scientific method. That is why when you try to explain gaps, okay, in the literature, you should be able to see the connectivity of the research, okay, research and theory and practice. Okay, there should be a blending of the three before we could finally before we could finally uh, um, say that this things is happening if there is a blending of research, practice, and theory. Okay. Dominant views, the positivism, that is that is a word repeatedly that you hear in my class. This philosophy popularized by Comte emphasized observable facts and verification. In the positivist perspective, anything that you see is real. Okay, like for example, you have seen a red carpet, then you would say that it's a red carpet. Okay, if you have seen in the clinical area, for example, via the use of a thermometer, you have seen that the temperature is 39.5, and you would just say it's 39.5 without even checking if the thermometer is working well, or without even counter checking with another thermometer. The logical empiricism, okay, a refinement of positivism. Logical empiricism, also known as logical positivism, focused on logical analysis and empirical evidence. For the Vienna Circle, a group of philosophers led by Rodolph Carnap, were key proponents of this one. They argued that scientific theories should be based on observable and verifiable propositions. So, logical empiricism is a logical positivism, or a refined, okay, positivism, or a positivist perspective, wherein when you see something that is real, it should be based on observable and verified propositions. Not only that, um, if you see the red carpet, how would you say that that is a really a red carpet? That is a logical empiricism, or logical positivism, or a refined positivism. Another one, the characteristic emphasis on verification. Theories were only and considered valid if they are definitively proven through observation and experimentation. That is why theories are also tested by research. Okay, we have here a research that tests a theory, the applicability of the theory, the generalizability of the theory, and of course the transferability of the defining attributes of the theory. So we also have to focus on language. The logical empiricists emphasize the importance of clear and precise language in scientific discourse. They believe that ambiguous or unverifiable statements should be excluded from scientific discussions, because it's an empiricist positivist perspective. Anything that is not occurring is not true. So for the logical empiricism, or the logical perspective, okay, or the positivist perspective, or the refinement of the positivist perspective, anything that is unverifiable should not be known to be true. So again, the empiricist perspective is, or the empiricism, or empirical knowing, is the science of nursing. Okay. Rejection of metaphysics, questions that couldn't be answered through observation and experimentation, such as the nature of reality beyond the physical world, were seen as outside the realm of science. So anything that is not observable, anything that is not done through or verified through experimentation, should not be included in the realm of science. Okay, so when you say science, it's empirics, it's a positivist perspective, it is something that is proven. Okay. Next, the famous philosopher have here, Rodolph Carnap, a leading figure in the Vienna Circle, a group of philosophers central to logical empiricism. Carnap emphasized the importance of logical analysis and the verifiable propositions in scientific theories. He argued for a clear distinction between verifiable statements that belong to science and unverifiable metaphysical statements. So Rodolph Carnap will just want to have the logical analysis of this verifiable and non-verifiable propositions. Okay. We have here another one. We have Carl Hempel, another prominent logical empiricist who focused on the logico-deductive model of scientific explanation. This model emphasizes formulating hypotheses, deriving predictions from them, and testing those predictions through observation and experimentation. And Hempel also contributed to the concept of falsifiability, which suggests that good scientific theories should be open to potential disproof through experiments. So he's just telling to tell us that even a theory, if it's disproved, okay, or some of the uh, parts of the theory or defining attributes of the theory are now deconstructed, it must be open to reconstruction for us to refine what is really in the nursing practice. So Carl Hempel is telling us that, of course, the concept of falsifiability is subjecting all these things to experiments, so that when there's this proof, then we could be reconstructing it once again. Okay, emergent views of science and theory in the late 20th century. We have here, in the later years of 20th century, several authors presented analysis challenging the positivists, and thus offering the basis for a new perspective of science. Significant shift occurred in how philosophers and scientists viewed science and the role of theory. So from the positivist perspective, positivist empiricist perspective, okay, we are now going to other or we are now going to understand other philosophers belief. For example, the role of paradigms. Okay, concept of paradigms, the dominant frameworks within which normal science operates, gain prominence. These paradigms guide research questions, methodologies, and interpretations of data within the scientific field. So you may repeatedly hear the word conceptual paradigm or theoretical paradigm. So later on, we will discuss each. Okay. So we have here scientific revolutions, Kant also proposed the idea of scientific revolutions where established paradigms are challenged by anomalies or unexplained phenomena leading to a shift to a new paradigm. And this highlighted the nonlinear nature of scientific progress. So it should not be, Kant is telling us that the scientific process should not be just dominant in a linear progress, but then again, it should be non-linear for us to be able to explain possible anomalies or unexplained phenomena that could occur with established paradigms. Or in other terms, we should not be deciding that these paradigms are carved in a stone or it could be trusted forever. So Khan is trying to tell us that there is a possibility of a shifting to a new paradigm as needed if there are unexplained phenomena that could be present in the in that context. Okay. Another one, social construction of knowledge. Sociologists of science like Bruno Latour emphasize how scientific knowledge is not simply discovered but also constructed through social processes involving negotiation, interpretation, and the influence of social and cultural factors. So now the beliefs and traditions and the environment where a person is growing up or where the person came from really matters to how now she negotiate or interpret or influence the social norms, or for example the norms, the beliefs, the traditions of this person now influences how he interprets so many things. So that is social construction of knowledge, and that we're trying to explain that these social processes could be sources of knowledge, also how we deal with others. The role of theory. Theories were no longer seen solely as summaries of observations. They were recognized as playing an active role in shaping and guiding scientific inquiry. And theories allow scientists to interpret data, predict new phenomena, and identify fruitful research avenues. So theory is not just to tell us what is the context, what is that phenomenon, but a theory will guide us to assume what will happen in the future, or what will be a phenomena, what will be an or if there is a phenomena or a new phenomena that could be predicted from that phenomena. Okay, I'm sorry for that. Next one, we have falsification and refinement. The concept of falsification and refinement was also re-evaluated. Instead of a single experiment definitively disproving a theory, anomalies often lead to refinement and adaptation of existing theories. So some theories are adapting or refining theories or deconstructing theories um, without even giving us a clear explanation why they have to deconstruct the theory. So experimentation, okay, is done to disprove the theory. But then again, before we could finally say that the theory is not generalizable, then the purposes of refinement and adaptation or falsifications should be observed. Okay. Famous philosophers in the late 20th century, we have here Thomas Kuhn, okay, a key figure in his shift. His book, The Structure of Scientific Revolutions, introduced the concept of scientific paradigms as the dominant frameworks in guiding research within the scientific fields. He also proposed that the idea of scientific revolutions where these paradigms are challenged are overthrown by the new ones. So we have what we call as scientific paradigms, and these are our guides. Actually, these are steps for us to do scientific investigations, but we have also what we call a scientific revolutions, wherein these paradigms are also reconstructed. We also have here Imre Lakatos, another influential philosopher. He criticized the simplicity of falsification and argued for more no one's view. He proposed the concept of research paradigms consisting of a hardcore of central assumptions and protective belt of auxiliary hypotheses that could be adjusted to accommodate anomalies. So research paradigms, okay, we have here when we say research paradigms, it includes your hypotheses, your assumptions, okay, of your belief of what will happen in the future. But then again, you should not be, according to Lakatos, you should not be falsifying an argument, okay, without even hypothesizing or assuming what will happen in the future. And this, again, is the hardcore of research or hardcore of science, okay? It is done through research programs. We have Bruno Latour, a prominent sociologist of science. He emphasized that social construction of knowledge or scientific knowledge. He argued that this scientific knowledge is not simply discovered but also constructed through social processes involving negotiation and interpretation and everything, okay, about the cultural factors of an individual. But his work highlights the role of laboratories, instruments, and social interactions in shaping scientific outcomes. So Latour believes that the social and cultural factors of a person affects on how the person perceives something. So again, I am telling you that we grow up in different environments. That's why we have different perceptions, and we should not be invalidating the perception of other people. Okay. Next, so when the patient tells you it's painful, you have to believe that it's painful because that it's his or her reality. We have Hilary Putnam, a prominent sociologist of science. He emphasized the social construction of scientific knowledge. He argued that scientific knowledge is not simply discovered but also constructed through social. Uh, it's the same, okay? It's the same with the other sociologist a while ago, Latour. Okay, so that is your Hillary Putnam, the same. Okay, so again, you have tackled today. Okay, you have learned today the different philosophies that uh, you will be repeatedly meeting in the discussion of theoretical foundations in nursing. So you have again what you call as empiricist that believes in deductive I'm sorry, that you have your rationalism that believes in deductive reasoning, and the positivist empiricist perspective that believes in inductive reasoning. So these lessons will finally teach you on how to understand the next theories that we will be discussing in the next few weeks. Okay, with this knowledge that you have with you right now, okay, you will now learn that every human being differs because of the things that are around them, not only the genes that they have, but again the experiences that they will be having in the environment where they live. So you as a nurse must try to understand again that the perception of other people is different from you because basically you grow up in a different environment, and their perception should not be your basis of who you are because their perception is something that you could not control. So there should no pain when you are, for example, they perceive you of something that you are not. Again, you have to be very sure of who you are, of what you could do, and you should not be basing this basically on the perception of other people because their perception is something that you could not control, and every individual have different perception. Thank you for today and hope to see you in my next videos.